Welcome to this particular session. So I'm Raghuvira Bhagavaran. I'm joining from SAP. I'm part of the Partner Ecosystem Success Organization. And in this session, we want to cover the partner innovation delivered by the LTIMindtree team as part of the initiative that we had called the Hacktobuild. So I will be the person who will introduce the topic, introduce the event and the initiative, and then I'll hand over to my co-speakers from the LTIMindtree team. So a word about the disruption that is being caused from the generative AI into the industry. So it is probably the biggest disruptive change that we have seen in the last several years. And in all the discussions that we've had with our customers, this is at the top of their mind. And there is definitely going to be a lot of priority in the AI front that the enterprise will head into in the next years. Before I talk about the partner innovation, a word on the SAP business strategy. So SAP would want to, as you see in this slide, power and infuse AI into all the line of business solutions, such as the human capital management solution, the spend management, and the customer relationship management. And we also want to make these AI capabilities and AI features available to all our partner ecosystem solutions. And that's the ring you see at the very top. The AI-powered business processes is available to all the partners and the business solutions. But the key message from this slide is that the SAP Business Technology Platform is the central platform which makes all the AI services available to all the processes, all the solutions, and the partners. In this slide, we talk about the SAP Business AI strategy. The key differentiator for SAP is that we understand business data, we have access to business data. And the SAP Business Technology Platform makes this available through various services, such as you see in the slide, the document processing services, the recommendation services, the forecasting, generative AI, APIs, and the digital assistants. So these are the business process-specific AI, which is available to all the LOB solutions, such as the cloud ERP, the human capital management, and others. And this is how each of these LOB solutions can consume the AI services and access the business data. At the lower section, we also see that SAP will maintain an open ecosystem policy, which means that we will allow connecting to all the large language models, including the open source LLMs that will come up in the future. With this, I want to go into the special initiative that we organized in the month of September. So we had a special Hacktobuild event where we invited a select set of 10 partners to create new innovations using generative AI using SAP BTP. But before I go into that, a word on the Hacktobuild itself. So Hacktobuild is definitely a hackathon, but we look at it in 4 stages. And stage 1 is what we call the ideation phase. We know and we understand that partners are the voice of customers. When we speak to one partner, we pretty much hear the voice of 100 customers. And partners understand the business challenges faced at the customers. And in this initiative, we invite the partners to ideate on a real-world business challenge that they have encountered in their discussions with the customers. And we bring in the SAP experts at our end to ideate with the partner and strengthen their solution and offer any technical suggestions they might require. In stage 2, we invite all these partners into the hackathon, where we support the partners to build a prototype of this business challenge in a matter of 1 week. At the end of the hackathon, we have a demo jam where we invite senior managers and senior experts at SAP to evaluate the partner solutions that they've developed during the matter of 1 week, and also offer feedback and advice how they can strengthen it further. Stage 3 is where we invite all the partners who participated in this event to convert the prototype and build it into a real-world business solution. We would want to make this solution available to all the customers. So the go-to-market channels from SAP is the SAP Store, the QPPS, the validated partner use case, and also the business APIs. So at the end of the build phase, we would have a solution which is ready to be taken to market. And finally, in stage 4, we have the market phase where the solution is published and available to the customers, and we connect the partners to the SAP go-to-market teams locally, regionally, and globally, and so that they can reach out to the customers. So in this Hack to Build initiative, we see that what was initially an idea at the partners end, we support the partners to take this into a real life solution, productive solution, and they can reach the customers. In the month of September, we organized a special Hack to Build event called the Generative AI Business Application using SAP BTP. This was a special event in a sense that only a select few partners were invited based on their experience at the customers. And the goal was to build and address the business challenges at the customer, specifically using the generative AI and SAP BTP. So it was a 1-week event, month of the first week of September, and we had 10 partners who were invited, and we saw a lot of innovations come in from this week's event. And we had several SAP senior managers and executives who were part of the judging panel who scored the partner innovations. And we were very happy to see the LTIMindtree team who emerged as the winner for their solution that they showcased, which is powered by the generative AI. So the solution they showcased is called the Smart ATP, which is powered by the generative AI, and it is focused on the manufacturing industries. So with that, I want to hand over to our LTIMindtree team to speak more about the solution and also show a demo of the solution they prototyped during that week. Thank you.
Thank you, Raghu. These days, we hear quite a lot about the need to have responsive, resilient, and sustainable supply chain. This is where there are a number of scenarios which put an enterprise's ability to deliver on time to test. And this is where enterprises require superior capability to secure their delivery performance and even excel at it. So the situation that we have selected over here, as you can see on the screen, is a typical supply chain scenario in make-to-order industry, which involves delivery of an pump assembly along with its spares, instruction manuals, and packaging material. So this is a steady state operation, and everything goes well when there are no disruptive events. But when there are situations, as you can see, there are disruptions in the value chain, there could be shortage of materials which hampers your production, or there are certain events at your vendors and subcontractors' places, such as floods or fires, because of which your vendor is not able to deliver, or there are unexpected events like quality failures or disruptions in your logistic chain. So these are the times when you are not able to deliver on time. Okay. And then second scenario, as you can see, is there are no disruptions, but there are certain variations and changes initiated by your customer, which then sends ripples across the value chain. So as you can see, along those dotted lines, there are rectangles which indicate such variations. So either customers require superior specification, or they need early delivery, or there are some changes in their installation procedures, or they expect some additional inspection to be performed along with corresponding documentation. So these are the times which again, they create challenges in your ability to deliver on time. And then there is third scenario where there are no disruptions or variations, but still there is ample scope to enhance experience of your customer, considering the location and situation where the customer is. So for example, if it is offshore oil rig where this pump needs to be installed, then probably there is room to be able to create audio-visual instruction manual, which can help local technicians in Spanish language, factoring in the fact that it is going to be marine installation. So these are the kind of things against which in modern times people have to overcome difficulties and then ensure that delivery dates are met. But this is where conventional supply chain models, they do have their own vulnerabilities, as you can see. So one set of vulnerability, as you can see with red color star, is dependence on manual touch point. So whenever there are disruptions or changes, typically people have to communicate these changes and their impact to internal and external stakeholders. Then there is second category of vulnerabilities, which are laborious and time-consuming tasks. So be it creation of inspection plans or packing instructions tailored to specific order, or be it ability to create installation manual factoring in local conditions, or sifting through all sorts of documents to create shipping notification or create inspection records. So these tasks take a lot of time. And then there are certain events which, when happen, people turn to individual experts and judgment. So when it comes to searching alternative source of supply or interpreting impacts of an event and then being able to predict new delivery date, people rely on manual judgments. And last but not the least, quality of your master data and metadata is also important when it comes to performing availability check and being able to promise to your customers what is that date, revised date by which you will be able to deliver. Now, these limitations in conventional value chains can be precisely flipped into the levers which can be orchestrated for infusing intelligence in the supply chain by making use of modern technologies such as Gen AI. Now, let's see how this can happen. We are looking at the same value chain, but then we are getting rid of those limitations by making right applications of Gen AI and also Core AI. So when we look at the sales and marketing related function, there are activities such as creation of inspection plan and packing instructions, which are tailored to customer requirements. We are making use of functionality of Gen AI, which enables us to propose editable drafts. Or when it comes to rescheduling delivery dates based on certain delays that are anticipated, we are making use of functionality of executing action without manual interventions. And when there are a lot of external feeds related to supply chain disruptions and those kind of events, then we are making use of summarization feature of Gen AI to predict delays in the supply chain. And based on these predictions, then we put to use Core AI functionality to predict lead times, predict capacity, and then propose source of alternative supplies as well. Then the other area of application is that when such disruptions and events have to be communicated to suppliers, buyers, and other stakeholders, we are making use of functionality of translation and preparing editable drafts of Gen AI. And based on this, when we are going to prepare local language audio video installation manuals, we are making use of the translation and then again draft features of Gen AI. And finally, when it comes to processing a large number of documents and creating advanced shipping notification or creating inspection records, we are again making use of features such as executing action without manual intervention. So these are the kind of different areas where with intelligent interventions, we are able to create those superior capabilities with which your ability to preempt disruptions increases. And even those areas where delays cannot be avoided, you would be able to predict more reliable delivery dates, and hence you are available to promise capability is what is improving. Now, coming back to the business benefits, as you can see that by having capabilities related to sensing, predicting, there is scope to create intelligent interventions, automations, and then being able to give precise insight to customer that how exactly you are taking care of those disruptive events. And in spite of such events, when exactly you are going to deliver, you are creating customer satisfaction. And in the process, you are enhancing overall user experience. Now, having said that, I would now recap how exactly we are helping this scenario in manufacturing industries. As we could see that there is an element of agility and responsiveness based on the events that are happening in the ecosystem. Ability to predict the outcomes is what we are able to achieve. And with that, we are able to create various challenges such as disruptions, variations, and then ability to create personalized experiences to customers. And this is something we are able to deliver orchestrating capabilities of Gen AI, conventional AI, and then using various BTP capabilities to build scalable and robust solution. Now with that, now I will request my colleague Aditya to walk you through the architecture behind this solution and then how it supports these capabilities.
Thank you, Rajesh. Hi, I'm Aditya Kulkarni, and I'll be taking you through the next couple of slides. So now let's look at the technical architecture of the solution we built for the smart ATP management. The core principle of this solution is that it has to be a scalable, resilient, secured, and a highly performant architecture. In line with these principles, we have come up with a comprehensive architecture leveraging SAP S4HANA, SAP BTP services, and the LLM models to build a robust solution. The core business logic resides in the SAP S4HANA system, storing a master data, transactional data like the purchase orders, sales orders, production orders, the customer master, the material master, and some other data aspects of this also. The solution has been built using the CAP services, while the Business Application Studio was used for the development environment. For end user persona, the digital experience is created using SAP Build Work Zone. This solution amplifies AI capability by integrating the local AI models and Gen AI LLMs. SAP AI Core has been used to handle the local AI and Gen AI assets built for this solution. Through AI Core, we connected to the LLM services provided by Azure OpenAI. For the H2B event or the Hack to Build event, SAP had provided access to the LLM services through SAP's sub-account. We built the local AI models leveraging the historical data from SAP using AI Launchpad and AI Core. We are building federated data pipelines to multiple service providers to ingest the data. So we are connecting various feeds like Event Watch, ComWatch, News APIs, the ports, Railroads APIs, etc. This data is ingested in the data sphere, cleansed, and then sent to the LLM service via AI Core for getting summarization, performing the sentiment analysis, and thereby predicting the revised delivery date of the critical material. The PostgreSQL database is being used as the vector DB in our solution. We plan to use the SAP Build process automation for reading the ASN-related emails sent to a common ID by the suppliers. The electronic ASN file received as an email will be extracted from SAP Build process automation and sent to the LLM service for ASN-related data extraction, which will then be processed and updated in the purchase order. We also plan to use the chatbot features leveraging LLM services for enhancing the end-user experience. These are the key architectural components which we have used while developing our solution. Now, let's look at the team who was involved in this entire Hack to Build event. This is the team which actually built this solution. We had a great mix of the functional expertise, the BTP architects, the UX architects, and the SAP AI architects. We built this solution in a very agile manner, incorporating the nitty-gritty that is expected by the business. We are one of the GSSPs and have been winner of previous Hack to Build events as well. We have also won the SAP Pinnacle Award for our industry innovation, our solution focusing on the engineering and construction industry. Having looked at the use case and the technical architecture, let's now look at some of our key learnings and the challenges that we encountered during this event. So, one of the major learning was to identify the right model. We know that the different models produce different outputs, different accuracy, obviously. So, some kind of experimentation needs to be carried out to identify the right model. Spending more time at this step will vastly improve the accuracy and efficacy of the solution. Performance of any end-user facing application is of paramount importance. When we were building the solution in initial stages, we found out that the response time of the application was not good. Then we did some more investigation and then we realized that the prompts that we were passing to the LLM service were not correct, which was causing either the wrong output or the slow response time. When we now encourage all our colleagues to go through the prompt engineering best practices while building the solutions focusing on Gen AI. While these were some of our key learnings, the best part of using SAP operated LLM models was the ease of connecting to these models using the AI Core. We also found that the orchestration of MLOps via AI Launchpad was very simple. So these were some of our key learnings and challenges we encountered during this event. Now with this, I would like to hand it over to my colleague Deepjoy to take you through the solution demo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aditya. Thank you, everyone. I will today run through the actual solution which we built as a part of the Hack to Build. And the solution essentially has multiple personas because what we did is that we build a solution based on various personas impacted in this whole value chain. We are going to run through one persona, which is a purchaser's persona. And here what we see is that we essentially click on a particular month, and based on that, we get a view of all the sales purchase orders which are there for this month. So for example, we need to select and understand what's happening with this vendor, whether my materials are going to come in time or not. So I essentially click on that and click on something called as predicted delivery date. And this is essentially a narrow AI model, which is based on certain key attributes which were trained on the data sets of this supplier. And once we click on that, essentially what it does is that it gives a date. And if you can see on the screen, the narrow AI date is pretty much what it gives, right? The PO delivery date. But now I go a level up wherein I go and say that, hey, you know what? Can you tell me what's the impact of real day world events on my delivery, right? And that's where I think it goes and fetches data from various external news and API services. And it essentially gives me an insight in terms of various factors which are impacting my deliveries. And based on that, essentially we derive something called as realistic delivery date. So the realistic delivery date, again, gives us insights, and then actions are one thing which we are able to generate through the large language models. So the action essentially enables us to see for a supplier delay, what are the actions which we can take. And the suggested actions can be looking out for alternate suppliers, looking out for alternate parts, alternate materials, alternate shipping modes, etc. Right? So it essentially gives us a complete view of what actions needs to be taken. And this essentially supplements the human intelligence of the purchaser, right? So essentially it equips him with all the knowledge he needs to take an informed decision. So once that's done, another feature which we built in is based on processing of ASN, which we are going to cover. So in terms of processing, ASNs are typically received over email or electronic mode. So one of the things which we have seen is a common industry problem is the goods would have come and the ASN wouldn't be processed, and there will be queues of shipments standing at the receiving base, right? So in order to minimize that risk, what we have done is that we have automated the processing of the ASN through GenAI, wherein we extract the key value pairs. And based on that, we create a JSON format, which through a standard API, we are ingesting that data, right? So this is the typical JSON format, and we can actually do a customization and made it accordingly. And based on that, we can update the PO with the exact ASN details. The next one is one of the manual steps which Rajesh was mentioning, that we are trying to eliminate a lot of manual processes, right? And one of the manual processes in everyday life of a purchaser persona is sending and emails, communicating with his suppliers, talking to his salespersons, to the planners, so on and so forth. So we actually, based on the context, have automated this process of drafting a composable email based on the context, history, and real data. And GenAI essentially drafts that email. And this is a very contextual email to this scenario, right? Wherein it basically seeks a clarification, and then it brings in translation capabilities also, which is again powered by GenAI, wherein we are translating that email to any language the supplier is. So for example, if the supplier is based out of Munich and we want to translate it into Germany, we can do that. We can translate it to German, right? So this is one of the things which we have also built in. And as a part of this whole solution, what we are trying to achieve is essentially going a step further and create a interactive chatbot for the purchaser, right? And this chatbot essentially powers the purchaser to interactively query, retrieve data, retrieve insights, retrieve other critical parts of the whole process, right? So, and that's the solution, right? So this solution essentially covers the entire value chain, and it has close to about 6 or 7 interventions which are brought in the whole process to give the reliability of the process higher. Thank you very much.